Thank you for watching the client briefing video for CSEI's Tenant-Based Rental Assistance Program. What is TBRA? TBRA stands for Tenant-Based Rental Assistance. It is a voucher program in which tenant portion responsibility is determined by tenant income. CSEI has been allocated HUD funds to implement this program, and assistance is contingent on fund availability. The packet you received in the mail has the following 5 items: an explanation letter with one color copy and one black and white, a HUD voucher form, request for tenancy form, list of rules, obligations, and requirements, and a packet about lead poisoning, how to protect Iowa families. You need to immediately return the explanation letter, signed with a color copy, and the HUD voucher form, signed. You will have 60 days to find a unit. Once a landlord approves you for a unit, you need to complete and return the request for tenancy form. This needs to be completed by you and the landlord who has approved you for the unit. You may choose to use your voucher in your current home if it meets program requirements. This form still needs to be completed if you are hoping to stay in your current home. Here is an example of the request for tenancy form. Please note this line, number of children with EBL. If your children have been tested for elevated blood levels in regards to lead poisoning, please complete this line. If your children have not been tested or you are unaware of any children with elevated blood levels, please leave this line blank. Finding a home. You will have 60 days to find a unit located in Dubuque County, which includes the city of Dubuque. Make sure that the place you find is in good condition, safe, and has access to your needs such as public transportation, employment, schools, and shopping. You may also consider the unit's energy efficiency and cost of utilities. Units built before 1978 may contain lead. Refer to the Lead Poisoning, How to Protect Iowa Families included in your mailed packet. CSEI recommends searching the following for available rentals in the Dubuque County area: Zillow, Apartments.com, Iowa Housing Search, Realtor.com, Trulia, or Facebook Marketplace. Applying for a unit. Some landlords will require you to complete an application. Be sure you are prepared to complete the form by having the names, addresses, and phone numbers of your references with you. Some landlords may charge you a fee with the application to cover the expense of screening applicants. The landlord may check with CSEI to verify your current and prior addresses and landlords. If known, CSEI is required to provide this information. The landlord may charge you a deposit. The CSEI TBRA program does assist with the deposit once the unit is approved. CSEI cannot pay a deposit until the unit is approved. Most landlords have established standards for accepting or denying an applicant. Standards may include things such as a minimum number of past landlord references, sufficient income to pay rent, good credit history, no felony convictions, no prior evictions, etc. How is your portion calculated? The tenant portion of rent will be calculated as the greater of 30% of the household's adjusted monthly income, 10% of the gross monthly family income, or the minimum total tenant payment of $5 or 0 in cases of hardship. All income changes must be reported to CSEI within 10 days. Maximum rent. For the TBRA program, the payment standard will be determined by rent reasonableness. An example of a unit that is not rent reasonable. Sarah receives TBRA assistance and is told the unit she's interested in renting will be $950, while John, who lives in the same building, is being charged $650 for the same type of unit. This is an example of a unit that is not rent reasonable. Example of a unit that is rent reasonable. Sarah receives TBRA assistance and is told the unit she's interested in renting will be $650, which is the same price that all the other units in the building are being charged. This is an example of a rent reasonable unit. Utilities. TBRA does not assist with tenant-paid utilities. If you are in need of utility assistance, contact your provider to discuss payment plan options. Additionally, you may reach out to the following resources for assistance: HACAP, St. Vincent de Paul, Dubuque County General Assistance, and the CSEI Housing Helpline at 1-833-587-8322. Request for tenancy. Once you have found your unit and you and the landlord have agreed to enter into a lease, have your landlord complete the request for tenancy approval form. Return this form by mail to Community Solutions of Eastern Iowa, attention TBRA program, 7600 Commerce Park, Dubuque, Iowa 52002. Completing the TBRA approval process. Once we receive your request for tenancy, CSEI will evaluate for rent reasonableness and send to the inspection team. The inspection will then be scheduled. The tenant or landlord must be present at this inspection. If the new unit needs repairs, the landlord and tenant will be given a list of repairs that need to be completed and the date of re-inspection. The unit will not be approved until the unit passes the re-inspection. If you miss your inspection 3 times without rescheduling, rental assistance may be forfeited and/or terminated. Because we cannot guarantee rent assistance unless the unit passes inspection, we do not recommend that you move into the unit until the inspection passes and the rent is agreed upon. Completing the TBRA approval process. After the unit passes the inspection and the rent the landlord requests is approved, the CSEI office will determine your portion of the rent and the portion we will pay on your behalf. A contract will then be sent to your landlord for signature. Unit condition. Unit must be decent, safe, and sanitary at all times. Report any problems with your unit to your landlord. If your landlord does not respond, call CSEI and ask for a complaint inspection. Utilities must be connected at all times. If you allow tenant-paid utilities to be disconnected, you could lose your assistance. Completing the TBRA approval process. Once CSEI receives the signed contract and a copy of the lease, the staff will enter the information into the CSEI system. CSEI will not pay rent until the start date of the TBRA contract. The start date is the first day of the month following the past HQS inspection. CSEI payments will be made on the first of each month. Following the rules. A complete list of all rules, obligations, and requirements was included in your mailed packet. You must follow these requirements to avoid losing your housing assistance. Some examples of reasons that could cause you to lose your housing assistance include failing to pay tenant portion of the rent, damaging the unit or causing disturbances, engaging in drug-related or violent criminal activity, failing to report changes in household size, failing to report any income for all members of the household, failing to abide by the terms of your lease. If you will be away from your unit for an extended period of time, you must contact CSEI. CSEI will not assist families who do not occupy the unit on a full-time basis. The unit must be the only residence for the family. You may lose your voucher if you are evicted. If you are evicted or receive an eviction or termination notice, you must provide CSEI with a copy of the notice. If CSEI has evidence that you have violated your obligations, we may decide to terminate your housing assistance. If this happens, you will be mailed a letter stating the reason or reasons for the decision. You may then request an informal hearing regarding the decision. Requests for informal hearings must be made in writing. Annual recertification. All families must recertify family composition, income, and any changes in your household on an annual basis. CSEI will begin the annual recertification process about 9 months after your initial lease date. An inspection will be scheduled within 12 to 24 months of initial inspection and will be performed in each 12 to 24 month period. Portability. Portability is the ability of a TBRA household to move. but must relocate to another unit that meets unit size criteria within the boundaries of Dubuque County. A family must submit a request for portability specifying the destination that they wish to utilize portability. Only one request may be submitted per family following the initial first year of their lease. All leases must be within the jurisdiction of Dubuque County. CSEI will deny a request for portability if the family currently has outstanding damage claims or is not current in their rent payments to their landlord. If you have any questions after viewing this oral briefing, feel free to contact CSEI staff 563-556-4166 and reference CSEI TBRA or 1-833-587-8322 for the CSEI Housing Helpline.